Surah Al-Qalam or None, the pen, I seek refuge in Allah from the evil of the exorcised Satan, in the name of Allah the most gracious, the most merciful. Verses 1 and 2, None. I swear by the pen and what the men of the pen write line by line, my messenger, by the favor of your Lord you are not a madman. The Holy Qur'an itself gives an important warning about how the Qur'an should be read. In a way this means, while reading the Qur'an, the devil can interfere with your mind without you realizing it. You can be manipulated about what is described in the holy book you are reading, and you can get lost in different ideas other than the real meaning. While reading the Qur'an, say this protective and secretive sentence so that you will not get lost in the sea of eternity, so that your feet will be firmly on the straight path. Otherwise it is very easy for the devil to lead you astray. This sentence is to be protected by Allah's protective shield. Having mentioned this important detail, we can now return to the first two verses of Surat Al-Qalam. Allah teaches man in many different ways. One of these ways of teaching is to make man write with a pen. This dictation takes place as follows. Man has reached the consciousness of servitude. He is in a state of submission. He believes that there is nothing but Allah. He is the Caliph of Allah on earth. In other words, he is now Allah's seeing eye, hearing ear, and writing hand on earth. Here, man has surrendered the control of his body to Allah. As a matter of fact, Allah has been in control of the body from the beginning, but man has only reached this realization. Important information. If this book being written were a textbook, it would probably be an introductory book. For example, Introduction to Business Administration, or Introduction to Law. I am making this explanation because of the sentence I mentioned above. Here, man has surrendered the control of his body to Allah. As a matter of fact, Allah has been in control of the body from the beginning, but man has only reached this realization. It is a sentence belonging to the curriculum of the upper grades given early for the introductory book. You are very likely to reject this sentence right now. If I go into the details and evidences of this sentence, the subject will get very distracted, so I would like to leave it for later and return to the main topic. Therefore God begins to write with the pen as the hand of man. Man's hand writes, but he does not know what he writes. He reads while Allah writes. The scene is as follows. Allah writes and the servant reads. He learns by reading. Allah is the master of the pen sworn in the first verse. It is Allah who writes line by line. The oaths in the Qur'an are sworn to Allah. Since there is La ilaha illallah, there is nothing else but Him. This state of the servant is a blessing of Allah. The blessing mentioned in verse 2. Now many people reading these lines may call me crazy. My Allah has given a very beautiful answer to those who will call me crazy. Verse 2. My messenger, by the favor of your Lord you are not a madman. Verse 4. Surely you are of the most exalted morals. The secret here is to have a sublime morality. Generally the objections here are in the following direction. But he is a prophet and I am not a prophet, so how can I have a high morality? However, Allah sent the prophet as a human being so that people would take him as a role model and try to moralize with his morals, strive and endeavor. But people choose to escape by claiming that he was a prophet in order to excuse themselves from this responsibility. This attitude is not right. If a person wants to, if he puts in the necessary effort, he will have a high morality, just like our prophet, and he will become the writing hand of Allah on earth. Thus, Allah will bestow His blessings on that person, and whatever he wants to learn, Allah will teach him unlimitedly. The key here is to have a high morality. Why? Because he should use the knowledge he has learnt only for the good of mankind. However, the Qur'an is a book of admonition, a lesson, a reminder for all conscious beings. Denying the Qur'an will of course have consequences for the person. This is a claim, and the person who claims this must have solid evidence or at least one evidence. Because the Qur'an gives every information it puts forward based on evidence, and it rightly demands evidence from the one who defends the opposite view. Of course, Allah knows that they have nothing but words. Knowledge is given to those who want to know, but man himself tries to reach knowledge. There is a point to be distinguished here that I think no one can see the truth. Maybe there are exceptions and I don't know. There may be exceptions. The truth is, I think it would be more appropriate to illustrate this situation. Let us say that Allah is the main center of consciousness. There is no doubt that He has all the information and all the records. We are trying to be fed from the source by connecting to the main source. Then there are those who think that they can be self-sufficient without connecting to the main source. Why would a person choose to stay offline when he can get help from the infinite resource center? That is, when there is an online communication system. While the main source contains infinite GB of information, People are content with 32 MB and think that they know everything without looking at this incomplete state. Moreover, after its 32 MB capacity is full, it needs to delete some information in order to upload new information. Isn't this a very pathetic situation? In short, the secret of verse 52 is that the Quran is the book form of a system that enables online connection to an infinite source.